Okay. Hello, everybody. The name's Antoine Christopher. So, this is my first iPod video blog, whatever they're calling it out there, because like I said, this is the first for me. So everybody's always asking me, why am I so secretive about my art, who I am, and this, that, and they wanted me to do my artwork behind me and talk. So I go, okay, let me try this thing. I don't know if I'm gonna do this again. I got my coffee in hand, and everybody that knows me knows how much I love my coffee. Taster's choice. Yes, I do love Taster's choice. Instant. Sometimes that brewing stuff takes a little too long. But anyways, behind me I have one of my Michael Jackson art piece. And what do I have to the right? Got my Jada over there. So this was done in Rembrandt pastels. On board. 32 by 40 if I'm not mistaken. I like using Rembrandts. Rembrandts are very rich and thick and opaque. People, everybody wants to know what's my favorite medium. I don't have a favorite medium. I'm not an oil guy. I'm not an acrylic guy. I'm not a watercolor guy. I know it all. And I want it to be a very diverse artist, which I think is key for every artist out there. Because when the client comes to me, I don't want to say, well, I only do this, I just want to say, what do you want? Let me know. I'll make it happen. And that's how I trained myself as a traditional artist. So my process is, what can I tell you? There's so many videos out there of people doing their process. I'm not into all that. I'm not going to be one of these guys that stand up and do this is how you do this is how you do that. I'm just going to tell you how I approach a drawing. Most of my images come from the client, or for this particular show, it's going to be, I'm going on the internet and I'm looking up for what I think is the nicest, what expresses him as a person, and I like the most difficult. I don't want something easy. I don't want something, this was pretty easy, but I want something more. I always look for something that will really bring out my detail. Because if you work in oil colors, it's so easy to get detail. You got a paintbrush, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever numbers, and you can get really, really detailed into a drawing. But for me, I want it to look like a photograph for your eyes, but at the end of the day, I want you to go up close and go, oh wow, it's a painting. Because I don't want for me, that's the art part of it. And when you work in pastels, it's very, very difficult to get that smoothness, that crispness. So it's always keeping me challenged to work towards it, okay? And that being said, is why I really like pastels right now. It's really brought a lot out of me. It's taught me a lot, because oil is oil. I mean, you can get so detailed, so smooth with oil. You blend. Acrylic's the same way. Watercolor is watercolor, so that's a medium of its own, which I love, watercolor. I would say the reason I wanted to do Michael, first of all, it's Michael Jackson. You can't go wrong with Michael Jackson. I mean, he has more talent on his pinky than most artists today have in their whole body. And he's just so expressive. He always looks sharp on stage. Every angle is like, whoa. And you can't help but look at him. I mean, just look at him. I mean, look at that outfit. At the time when that came out, it was like, what? Spacesuit looking like that? So I like to say, honestly, he perfected me as an artist, because he was such a perfectionist. And I said to myself, when I draw, I got to be a perfectionist. And I think drawing the gold, the silver, and all that sort of stuff brought it out of me to be that type of artist. But that's how my approach is. So that being said, is why this is very important to me. Not only that I'm a big fan, I mean, not only of his talent and who he was, love it. So I'm a huge fan of his. But that's not really the reason I did it. The reason I did it was, like I said, look at it, right? The gold, the silver, and all that stuff. Okay, so this is the reason. And another thing, this is, like I said, I'm only opening up like this because people were always asking me. I put something up on Facebook, which everybody knows my Facebook is private unless we're really friends. I'm not one of these guys that have 10,000 followers. No, the people actually on my Facebook are actually my friends. But I'm told that's supposed to change. We'll see. This one is actually called Making History, because that was a history tour, but I also love it because at that level, that stage, that height he was at, Making History was, I thought, the perfect name for it. And it actually came to me when I was, I finished, I think it was the outer jacket part, the gold, and I was like, man, this is like making history right here. I was like, that's the name. And that's usually how the names come from me. People ask me, how do I name my drawings? And I'm telling you, I name my drawings based on when a thought comes to my head and it's a feeling and it expresses what's on canvas for me. So again, this is not my favorite type of medium, but it's a medium that I'm using for this. Listen, I've been drawing since my mom's kitchen table. I didn't know what I was doing at the time I was doing it. I used to use acrylics, not even knowing, acrylic paint, water, mixes with water, cool. I'm the type of guy that made the mistake trying to mix oil paint with water because I didn't know about this linseed oil and all that stuff at the time. So I was always passionate about that, and my family would tell you the same thing. I was always passionate about art, and but I didn't want to be an artist like any other artist. There's so many great artists out there. From my inspiration was Boris Vallejo, Frazetta. To me, those guys were like, whoa, like I looked at the flesh on Boris Vallejo's paintings, and I was like, okay, seriously, dude, you're killing me. I got to learn how to do that. Frazetta, I love the roughness. Like when he did those Conan Barbarian kind of things, I love the roughness. I was like, okay, the sharp edges. It was detailed, but wasn't detailed. Totally different from the smoothness of Boris Vallejo. Frank Frazetta, that's what I was trying to remember his first name, Frank Frazetta. So that was at the time, that's what it was. So, anyways, that's it. That's all I got to say for now. So, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification button below. I'm not sure if I'll do it again. I guess it all depends on how you guys react to this one. But that's me. That's the artist signing off. Coffee in hand. Later.